Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 62 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're teaching your Raspberry Pi who's boss. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee poured over ice. No sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the Sunfounder Raphael kit for Raspberry Pi. Now, most of you guys probably already have your gear, but if you don't, look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon. You can hop over there and get your kit. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot easier if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to show you today. And what I'm going to show you is my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you in lesson number 61. So I must ask, were you successful? If you were successful with the homework, leave a comment down below. I am legend, double chest bump. And if you were not successful, leave a comment down below. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Hopefully most of you guys got this because I've already shown you how to track the servo in pan and tilt, and I showed you how to find faces. So putting those two skills together that you already have should be pretty straightforward. And what the homework assignment was, if we can switch over here, you can see that we have got to get me out of your way, but we have the Raspberry Pi camera on the PanTilt servo hat on the Raspberry Pi. And then what it can do is it can point the camera in response to what it's seeing. Now, if you guys don't have that, I've got a link down below. You can order the kit. Or as I've explained many times in the past, if you don't have the coin, just do the pan part of it by taking the camera and gluing or taping it to one of the little blue servos. And you could get most of the learning done just doing it that way. But it is indeed pretty cool to have the whole pan tilt setup. Okay, so that was the homework assignment. Let's see if we can jump in and get going on that. I want to start where I left off with last week. And last week, right, we were able to track the face, box the face, and track the eyes. So let's start with that program where we're able to actually, find and box a face and eyes, a face and eyes in OpenCV. So where do we need to go? I think we need to come over here, and we need to go to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com. And then you need to use the happy little search tool here and search on something like Raspberry Pi lesson 61, finding and tracking should get you here. And then we come down here and we have this code that we had finished up with last week. Click on those two little pages. Now let me come over to our Thonny view, if I can find my cursor. And then what we can do here is we can just paste, and then we are starting with that program. Now, I always like to just run the program to make sure that we're starting off from something working. So let's run this. Okay. And then let's see if it finds my face. All right. Now it doesn't do anything with my face, but it boxes it and it finds my eyes. So at least we are starting from a working piece of code. Okay, so now what do we have to do? We have to go in and we have to set up and we have to operate those servos. So let's see here. Let me see if I can find a good place to break into this code. Let's do it just right after importing time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say from servo import servo. And of course, this is only going to work if you installed the servo library, which I showed you several lessons ago when I was showing you how to get the PanTilt hat put together. So if you don't have the Servo library, go back and look at that earlier lesson, which was something like assembling the PanTilt head. I think there we went ahead and installed the Servo. Okay, and so now we have also imported time, so that's good. Now we've got to set up that Servo, and if you remember, we have a pan servo. We got to set up that PanTilt head. We have a pan servo, and that is going to be equal to servo. And where is that one connected? That is connected to pin equal 13. Then we have a tilt servo, and that is Servo is not going to work very well. At least it's not going to work nearly as well as Servo. Does not count as an error if you catch it before you run it. Okay, the tilt is going to be equal to servo, and that is going to be pin is equal to 12, like that. So we've got that set up. Let's go ahead and set up our pan angle is equal to 0, and let's set up our tilt angle is equal to 0. Now what we have to remember is 0 is front and center, and then in the tilt direction, positive tilt is down, negative tilt is up. In the pan direction, counterclockwise is positive and clockwise is negative. So as we're setting up our little control system to get this camera to track our face, we have to remember those two things. Talked about that a lot in the last lesson, so I'm not going to continue to explain it. If it doesn't make sense, go back and watch it in the earlier. Go back and watch it in the earlier. Go back and watch them in the earlier lessons, because I don't want to just keep repeating myself for the guys that are taking this class in order. Now let's go ahead and point. Let's go ahead and point the PanTilt head. So I'm going to say pan.set angle. Where do I want to set it? I'm just going to set it at pan angle, which is 0. And then I'm going to say tilt dot set angle, and that is going to be tilt angle. And man, I really messed that up, didn't I? Underscore angle, and then this will be tilt angle, like that. So I think we have our servo set up. So now when can we start pointing? We can start pointing at the point that we have found the face and boxed it, because then we'll know this corner and we'll know this corner, upper left and lower right corners. And then what we can do is we can point the camera to those points. And so that's what I need to find in the code, is I need to find the place in the code where we know where the face is. So here we have 4 face in faces. So here we have found the face, okay? And then it says 4 face in faces. And let's see where we actually come down. And now I have X, Y, W, H. Do you think that would be a good place? I'm trying to think of where would be the best place to put it. I think right after we do that rectangle. I think right after we do the rectangle, this is the place that we want to go in and start doing our servoing. This is the place where we want to go in and start doing our servoing. So I need to figure out what is the pan angle. Okay, the pan angle is equal to the old pan angle, and then I want to correct it by subtracting the error. So I'm going to subtract it. If I'm going to do that, I better darn well define what the error is. And so the error is equal to the difference between the center of my face. Okay, the difference between the center of my face. Well, where is the center of my face? Right above, I see that I've got the XY of the upper left, so it would be X plus W divided by 2. That would be the X center of my face, right? The left and right center of my face would be X plus the width of the box divided by 2. That is where my face is, okay, minus the position of the center of the frame. So Where is my face? Where is the frame? The difference in those two x values is the pan error. So then where is the center of the frame? Display width divided by 2. And if this doesn't make sense, go back and watch the last few lessons. Okay, that is the error. Now I want to move the camera to subtract that error out. So pan angle is going to be equal to pan angle minus error. Okay, but I don't want to take all the error out at once. And then also I've got to remember that error is in pixels and moving the angle is in degrees. And so if I were to take out all the error in one step, I would want to divide by 35 because there are about 35 pixels in 1 degree, as we learned earlier. But I don't want to take all the error out. I want to take about half the error out. So instead of dividing by 35, I will divide by 70. Now we got to make sure that we don't try to pan too far to the left or too far to the right. So we want to pin our pan values between minus 90 and 90 before we go and apply this. So I'm going to say if pan angle is less than, minus 90, then I'm just going to make it minus 90. So I don't go any further than that. Pan angle is equal to minus 90. Now if pan angle is greater than 90, then what do I want to do? Well, I want to set it to 90. So that just keeps me from trying to overdrive my servos. Now I know that I have a good value. So now what do I want to do? Well, I want to pan dot set underscore angle to pan angle. Like that. But now you remember that as I'm eliminating the error and as I'm coming in for a landing, I don't want to get to that last step and be bouncing back and forth because I can't move less than 1 degree. So I don't want to try to drive all the error out, or I could get some oscillation. So I'm going to say only if the absolute value of the error is greater than 35 pixels. If it's greater than a degree, I'll try to take it out. But if it's less than a degree, I won't try to take it out. So if the absolute value of the error is less than 35 pixels, then I will try to take it out by actually applying that value, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I'll just leave the camera, and that way I don't just sit and go like that. Is that good? I hope that's good. I really hope that's good. Okay, so now what's the next thing that we want to do? We want to handle the tilt. So I am going to say tilt error. Tilt error is equal to, well, it's the Y position of my face minus the Y position of the center of the frame. So what is the Y position of my face? Well, I got that up here. That's the Y position of the corner of my face. And then what I will need to do is add H divided by 2. That is the position, the Y position of the center of my face. And then I need to subtract the center of the frame, which is display height divided by 2, I do believe, but I'm going to sit and think. Yeah. So now I've got my tilt error. Okay, now let me calculate my tilt angle. Tilt angle is going to be equal to tilt angle. And this time, because it's kind of like the servos operate a little backwards in the up-down direction, that the positive direction of servo is down and the negative direction of servo is up. And so because of that, my error is kind of backwards. And so I want to go tilt angle is equal to tilt angle minus the error. And again, if I want to take out half the error, I would say I would divide by 70 because there's 35 pixels in a 35 pixels in a degree. Roughly. All right, now I've got to make sure that I don't try to pan too far up or down. So I'll say if the tilt angle is greater than 40 degrees, I will just make tilt angle equal to 40 degrees. And if tilt angle is less than minus 90, because I'll point straight up. I won't run anything, but if I try to point down too far, I'll crash the camera into the base. So if it's less than minus 90, then tilt angle equal minus 90, which would be pointing straight up. Now, again, I only want to try to correct the error if the error is more than 1 degree. So I'm going to say if the absolute value of tilt error is greater than 35 pixels, which would be 1 degree, then I'll try to correct tilt.set angle to tilt angle. Okay, so do you see I'm always calculating the correction factor, but I'm only applying it if it is more than 1 degree, because there's no reason to try to apply something less than 1 degree if the servo can't move less than 1 degree increment. I hope that makes sense. How many mistakes did I make in here? You guys are probably screaming at me. I'm also wondering, could it really be this easy? We're going to give it a try. Hold your breath. Oh, servo. Okay, that was bad. Servo. You guys probably saw that up in line 7. Servo with a V. Okay, we've got some stuff happening here. Okay, it has found my face. And is it tracking on it? Let's see. I think it might be. I'm going to take my glasses off. Okay, I'm moving over here. Okay. It's kind of slow, so I've got to move kind of slow. Okay, something happened there. Okay, guys, I think it's working, but what is the problem? It is, you know, what the problem is, and I am still not absolutely sure that the tilt is working. You see, I'm not sure that tilt is working. Something might seem to be wrong with the tilt. But one thing, I think kind of the big thing that you see is because we have that eye business going at 6 frames a second, the real world is happening quicker than what it is processing things. And so it's just not tracking very well. So I really think that we should turn those eyes off. And so I'm going to come up here, and where I set up the Haar Cascade, I am going to comment that out. And then I'm going to come down here, and then where we're doing all of this inside here, business, ROI eyes, I think this is all of the eye business. I think that's all the eye business. And so that I am going to toggle comment. So all of that is commented out. I still felt like that tilt was not working. And so I want to make sure on the tilt, if I'm doing things in the right way, the tilt error, okay, tilt error is y plus h divided by 2 minus display h divided by 2. That's right. And then tilt angle is equal to tilt angle. This is not good. Okay, this should be tilt error. Didn't I make this mistake a few weeks ago? Tilt error. All right. And then I also see that, right, we wanted to subtract the error on pan angle. And then on tilt angle, we should be adding the error, right? Because it's the tilt angle that's kind of backwards. So we add the error instead of subtracting the error, because it's kind of surprising that positive is down. So then that changes the sign of the error. Go back and watch the last lessons if that doesn't make sense. Now, hopefully this will work, and hopefully it will be going faster. In fact, yeah, let's run this. Let's run this. Okay, hold your breath. Okay, we're getting up to a higher frames per second. I move this way. I think it's tracking. Let me see if I go up now. I think it is tracking in tilt, and then I come down. I come down and it's tracking, and probably if I come out here, okay, I come over here, it's tracking. I come over here, it's tracking. You've got to kind of stay looking at the camera, but look at that. And watch, let's see if I can give you a studio view here. Let's see if I can give you a studio view. Okay, so now watch the little camera. You see as I'm moving this way, it's moving over. As I'm moving this way, it's moving over. As I'm coming down, it's going down. As I'm going up, it's going up. I hope you guys aren't shocked that I wear short pants when I record these things. It is kind of warm here, you know. Okay, so I'm coming this way. Let's see if I can find a better view to show this. I think this is pretty darn neat. Okay, there you can see the servos. So you see when I move this way, you see it. When I move this way, you see it. I'm going up and it's tracking, and then I'm coming down and it's tracking. Okay, guys, I am really happy with this. The one thing that you can see is I think we really wish that this would be going faster, because it's not the speed of the servo, it's how many frames I am processing. And 6 frames per second just seems to be really, really slow. So let's see if we can make this a little snappier. I'm going to make this 640 by 360. And if I reduce the size, the edge size by 2, then I'm reducing the area or the data size by 4. And so hopefully this one will run a lot smoother. Okay. Oh yeah, you see now we're up at 24 frames per second. Okay. And you see it's really tracking me very well now. And if I scoot back. Okay, guys, I'm going to declare this a success, although it kind of lost me there. There I am. Okay, keep up with me. Keep up with me. Okay. Okay. It sure seemed like that one was going backwards, didn't it, when the error was negative? Let's try it again just to make sure. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think that's working. I really think that's working. We're going to call this a success. We are going to call this a success. Now, what you can see is that even now we are really hitting the performance limit of the Raspberry Pi. I have a Raspberry Pi 4, and you can see that when we really start doing the artificial intelligence, we're getting down to maybe 6 or 7 frames a second, and then we got to make the picture smaller. And so we're sort of just absolutely maxing out the performance of the Raspberry Pi. Now, to really do this, and you guys might have seen some of the earlier series I did, like on the Jetson Nano or the Jetson Xavier, that if you've got something with a GPU where you've got 1,000 processors, you can run this whole thing at 30 or 60 frames a second. But with our friend the Raspberry Pi, we are sort of maxing out its computational resources. But what is the good news is it runs plenty fast at 640 by, what was that we set it at? It was 640 by 360. It was running fast, and you could imagine like a doorbell camera that would track someone's face. You could imagine turning it on when you detected something, like with a PIR sensor, you see something's walked up, turn it on, and then track them based on their face. You see, this is getting to be pretty darn neat. Okay, guys, I want to go a little bit deeper into artificial intelligence. And so this is what your homework assignment is for next week. To do the things that I'm going to be doing in the next lesson, you need to have a fresh SD card at 64-bit bullseye. Now you might say, well, I'm already on 64-bit bullseye and I have all this stuff on my card I like. Great. If you like your card, you can keep your card and keep that card. But for the next 5 or 6 lessons, have a separate card that is a fresh, clean install of bullseye, and then don't go put all your stuff on it. We're going to have this card just to be doing our artificial intelligence, because things have to be very, very precise as far as which OpenCV you have and which libraries and which versions of things. And I don't want to undo and correct what 300,000 of you might have on your card. So we're all going to start with what? A fresh 64-bit bullseye card that is going to be used for this class moving forward. Like I say, keep your old card. When we're not doing lessons for this class, go back for your old card. Does that make sense? Do you guys like my studio view here? That's a new studio camera. I think that that is pretty neat. You see that I'm trying to keep my, I'm trying to keep things kind of organized. Kind of locked up on me there for a second. Just bragging on my studio cam. And then it seems to have frozen up on me a little bit. Let's see if we can get that back. You know how I have to have things working. Okay, I think I can reconnect. All right, yeah, I just lost my connection. So you think I'm keeping my studio pretty neat? You can see over there I've got kind of a sitting area where I can sit and work on things with people, or I can have visitors. And then that window you see, that is the river view. The window is the river view. So when I look, or that's actually a door. When I look out that door, then what I see is I see the river. And let's see if there's anything interesting going on the river right now. Let's see, is the river live? Yeah. Not too much going on. Kind of a quiet, it's kind of mid-afternoon here, which is sort of the quiet part of the day. Okay, guys, I hope you're having as much fun taking these lessons as I am making them. Hard to believe we're already on lesson number 62. But if you enjoyed lesson number 62, give us a thumbs up. If you leave us a comment down below, that helps us with the old YouTube juice. Always good if you subscribe to the channel. When you do, ring that bell. You'll get notification when my future lessons are coming out. And most importantly, share this video with other people, because the world needs more people doing engineering and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.